I know they always say don't watch TV as you fall asleep, that light is bad for you, but I will tell you, I fall asleep to shows like The Office, like Parks and Recs. It's something I've seen 100 times over. And Rashida Jones is obviously a star in both of those. And Hidetoshi Nishijima is an absolute legend in Japan. He's in Drive My Car, Oscar nominated Best Picture, and then International Feature Film winner. They're in
Thank
this new
you.
amazing show called Sunny. So thank you both for chatting with me.
Thank you. Thanks for the
Thank you.
compliment of you falling asleep to me every night.
I
Is that
mean,
a
I knew it would
compliment?
sound weird, but I was like, I have to say it. Like, there's no other easy way to say that.
Only if you watched it before and didn't fall asleep. If this
Absolutely,
is your
it's something
repeat
right.
viewing,
If you've
okay.
seen it 100 times, you're like, okay, I know. I'm closing my eyes and I know exactly what's
Okay.
happening
Fine.
when I'm watching these shows.
I'll
so
accept
tell
it.
us, Rashida, I'll let you tell us what Sunny's about.
Sunny is about a woman who has a giant loss, and her family's missing her husband and son, and she's gifted a robot. It takes place in near future Japan. She's gifted a robot, and the minute this kind of irritating, congenial, slightly mysterious robot shows up at her house, her whole life changes. And she goes on this journey to figure out who her husband really was, where her husband is, and what this robot is, and why are people chasing her.
In Hidetoshi, that's where your character comes into play. You are her missing husband. We see you a lot in flashbacks with her. And what I read online, or I read in the production notes, that you were showrunner Katie Robbins' first pick as this character Masa. What's that like being cast in a show like this?
そうですね。話をもらっ
Well, when I got when I first, I never knew that I was the first candidate. I never knew what, but my initial meeting was with Katie, Lucy, and Rashida on a Zoom meeting. And at that meeting, I really felt that they were very passionate and very talented. And as people, I really felt the generosity as a human from Rashida. And then when I went to LA, I actually met them in person. And then I really felt that it's imperative. Really want to work with them. And with Rashida, as an audience, I've been watching Rashida's works. So, and so her performance is very natural. And I
こ
am an actor who hopes to make these work on these natural performances. And we have these organic or spontaneous performances, and I think we both pursue or we hope that. And I think we had a wonderful experience on this show.
Very much so. And what I love most is that you want to call this like a genre where it's not really necessarily, it doesn't fit into one genre. It's comedy, it's drama, it's sci-fi, it's mystery. And Rashida, you're an EP on this. Is that kind of how you see this show as well?
Yeah, I mean, I like things that speak to me, in a realistic way, and even if that's couched in something that's kind of hyper realistic or in the future, or heightened mystery, or it has to have a core. It's got to have a center. It's got to have a heart. And this show did have a heart, and that really is what spoke to me. That the themes that it's addressing are pretty universal, and they're not time and place and culturally specific. And even in the show, Masa and Suzie, they find each other. They're a very unlikely pair to find each other, but they have both experienced loneliness, and that is that's a very human condition as far as I'm concerned. We come here alone, we die alone, and I think the whole in-between is about figuring out how to be lonely amongst other people. So, yeah.
In Hidetoshi, obviously this is filmed, it takes place in Japan. I love that you all got to film in Japan on site. What was that like filming this huge Apple TV Plus production in Japan?
僕日本人の俳優
I'm a
で
Japanese actor, and I've been shooting on so many Japanese projects in Japan, but I've never shot in the middle of Kyoto.
だから本当にこのプロデューサーの人たちそれが
So we were able to pull this off, but I just wonder how Rashida and the other filmmakers were able to convince and negotiate with the local people in Kyoto, because I think this was an impossible feat that they accomplished. And this is a near futuristic Japan, but but we also reflect the history of Japan, and I think that's a very rare thing that we are showing through this project, and I'm very honored and happy to be a part of the show.
It's such a great honor. It's a great honor to watch it. Rashida, I promise you I did not fall asleep watching all 10 episodes.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
I can't wait for people to see Sunny starting July 10th on Apple TV+. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The best way I can describe one of this summer's binge-worthy shows on Apple TV+, Sunny, it's kind of a mix of Big Hero 6 and Her, and I'm going to throw in Megan in there, this horror film. It has this mystery to it, also Sherlock Holmes. So I'm talking with creator and showrunner Katie Robbins and Lucy Cherniak, director and EP. So Katie, how did you come across Sunny, which is not what the book is called?
No, so the book is called The Dark Manual by Colin O'Sullivan, and it was my agents sent it to me, and it's quite a dark book. And in the book, the robot is a male robot, and Suzie and Sunny are in a kind of contentious relationship the whole time. Suzie is always incredibly deeply and rightly so suspicious of Sunny. And there was a kernel there, though, that I was really attracted to, because Suzie has just experienced kind of the worst thing that a person can experience, the loss of her husband and son. And the only being that she has with her is a robot. And so I was interested in, like, what is a version of the story where the robot has potential to do good to Suzie as well. And so I started doing, I'd done some research in the past about the capacity of AI to be kind of a transitional object or a surrogate for people when they're in times of great loss or grief. And that when it becomes really hard to be vulnerable to other people, it's easier to be vulnerable with a robot, because a robot's not going to hurt your feelings or like cut you off. Like, it's a little bit of a safer space. And so I changed Sunny into being a female robot and created a story that's a little bit about female friendship, because that was something that, like, as a working mom, I'd been sort of missing in my life.
In reading the production notes, you just mentioned female friendship. What I loved most is that both of you, Lucy and Katie, it seems like you developed this sisterly bond making this. And it is just so exciting to see this brought to life. Lucy, what was that like to get to have this partnership with Katie?
Just the best. Like, I took on this job because I read Katie's original outline before there was even a script and was just like, God damn, this woman's a good storyteller. I didn't know she was going to end up being like one of my closest friends. And so that has been like a real joy. Happy girl.
I love to hear that. In AI, obviously this is a lot AI. It's a Sunny the robot. AI kind of has a bad connotation with how society is going, but this is really positive kind of outlook on AI. It's not all scary. It can be used in very, very good ways, like to help her cope and to be left for her that way. Is that how you interpret this?
Yeah, I think that there's a real sense of optimism to our story. Like art or poetry or music, like AI is created by humans. And so there is this real capacity for it to serve a really generative and productive and positive role in our lives. And at the same time, because it is created by humans, there's also a capacity for it to not do that. And so, like any new technology, like nuclear energy or, you know, what have you, like, it is all about how we use the thing. And so while we were filming, ChatGPT like emerged. And so suddenly, like, as a writer, I was like, oh boy, you know, AIs really can be pretty dangerous. I have very complicated feelings about it. And yet, like, I do still cleave to this idea that because we have the capacity to shape it and mold it, it can be something that is good for us. We just have to be really, really careful about how we use it.
Mm-hmm.
You're very right about that. And you mentioned filming. Obviously, this takes place in Japan, and I love that you got to film on location. It's just gorgeous setting and seeing all of this. Obviously, Lucy, you have a lot to do with that as the director. What was it like getting to film on site?
Yeah, I mean, just location after location that we scouted. Like, I mean, sometimes it was quite hard to get the locations we wanted. Like, we had to sort of fight quite hard to get things like the Kyoto International Conference Center, for instance, that we used for Ematech. But yeah, they're just extraordinary. Felt so like pinching myself very often, going, God, is this really where we're getting to shoot? Just like on the Kyoto streets as well, like these little streets in Gion that I think some of which we were told people have never shot on before. But I think because it was COVID, or like 2022,
Omicron.
yeah, Omicron phase, there were no tourists around for the bulk of our shooting. They just started to kind of come in towards the end, but it meant that maybe that was oddly helping us, an odd silver lining, that we were getting to shoot in some places that we wouldn't otherwise, and that streets were emptier and things like that. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
And making the journey over there, obviously, is your leading lady, Rashida Jones, who truly needs no introduction. Katie, what was it like having her lead this incredible show for you guys?
It was such a gift. Suzie is this incredibly complicated, prickly character, and particularly given when we meet her, she is a person who is quite closed off. And so as a way of making sure that audiences would relate and respond to her, we needed somebody who had this inherent likability and charisma and sense of humor. And Rashida has this ability to make you want to be her friend while still in the role of Suzie, jabbing you with sharp elbows. And she was able to hold both of those things at once in a way that was really extraordinary. And in the initial description of Suzie, I described her as kind of a young Joan Didion, somebody super, super cool who just has this aspirational quality. And they don't make them any cooler than Rashida Jones. She is just the coolest of the cool. So she had all of that kind of rolled into one. It was pretty lucky.
Rashida Jones, Sunny, everyone is going to be watching it this summer. Thank you both so much.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
So Joanna Sotomura and Annie the Clumsy, they're in this new show on Apple TV Plus called Sunny. It's so good. I binged it all in the last 24 hours. So first I'll start with Joanna. Tell me where your character is in this show.
Hi, my character is Sunny, so I'm pretty much with Suzie the whole show, so yeah.
And Annie, your character is also with Suzie. What is your character's relationship like with Suzie?
Mixie and I'm with Suzie all the time. I try to, overcome Sunny all the time. Who gets to be her best friends kind of situation. Yeah.
And this is such an interesting role for you, Joanna. You are Sunny. You are this robot, seems so real that this is such a character, and this is not just a voiceover role for you. It's your facial expressions, it's your emotions. What is that like to get to be in this kind of role?
Well, thank you so much. It was incredibly surreal. It was definitely a real robot that we had on set. We had a 3-foot-tall Sunny that I got to be rigged up to and move her head. And when I spoke, she spoke. When she was sad, I was sad. Or when I was sad, she was sad. Who knows? We embodied each other at the end of the shoot. But it was just so much fun to be able to use this sort of technology in this television show. So yeah,
and it made it really easier for me to react to it naturally because having the robot, having the physical robot and Joanna on set, and it was amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
trippy.
And it's good to see you both sitting so closely because obviously your characters are kind of fighting for the same attention from Suzie, Rashida Jones's character. What is that like, Annie, to kind of be against Joanna in the show?
It was incredibly hard for me to dislike mean to Sunny all the time. Because the robot, it's so cute and Joanna is the loveliest person. It was definitely hard for me to mean Sunny, but overall, if I once get into a Mixie character,
you did great, man. You did a great job.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna be, Susie's best friend. I'm gonna win.
Yeah. Fight for that attention. And obviously we're talking about Rashida Jones, just superstar herself, Parks and Rec, The Office, On the Rocks, Silo. I could just keep naming all of these amazing shows and movies she's in. What's it like I'll let both of you answer this one. What's it like working alongside her?
Oh God, it was just dream come true for me. I had a phase where I was just obsessed with Rashida Jones, and I even got a haircut like Rashida when she was having this bob hair a long time ago because I wanted to be her so much. But it was wonderful.
It was fantastic. She is just as much of a legend as you think she would be.
And super down to earth as well.
Yeah, and incredibly talented. And it was it was really fun acting opposite of her, even though, it was in a helmet for me. Yeah. But I'll take her any way I can get her.
I learned so much from her. Just by watching her acting. And
And Joanna, I want to ask you, do you know how this robot was made, how they came about going about putting Sunny in the set? I read online, or I read in the production notes, there were multiple different versions of Sunny.
Oh yeah, there are. I mean, obviously, for any sort of like robotics, you need to have a couple. So on the day if one breaks down, you can move another one in. I don't know all the mechanics behind it. I do know it was incredibly fun to play with. It was a technology that I'm not sure has ever really been done before. And you know, a few days on set, you'd have multiple Sunnies and multiple Homebots and multiple like trash bots, and just live in this world of these adorable but possibly threatening bots. It was a really fun place to play in.
It seems like, and it's such a futuristic show that seems so real. It could happen in right now. I'm already gearing up for a second season. I'm praying that we get a second season after having just binged the first season. Make sure you watch Sunny on Apple TV Plus beginning July 10th. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
for having
you.
us.
Let me just tell you, these are legends in the Japanese film industry. Jun Kunimura and Judy Ong. They're in this new show on Apple TV Plus called Sunny. So I'll let you tell us both where your characters come into play. We'll start with you, Judy.
I play Susie is the protagonist in the story. Her husband's Masa, and I'm the mother of Masa. So I'm mother-in-law to Susie, and I am a Kyoto person, a very authentic and genuine Kyoto woman, very traditional. But because there's a daughter-in-law who is American, there's a lot of conflict there. And despite all of that, she has dignity. And and I speak Kyoto dialect and of course English too.
And what about you, Jun?
My character, named Yuki Tanaka.
Yuki Tanaka is my name, and I'm a roboticist. Just the early stages of AI technology. And in the story, I have many relationships that's revealed through the episodes. And so I can't talk any further, but you will find out.
You're very right about that. And Judy, you obviously have a feuding, kind of fighting relationship with Rashida Jones. And it's crazy to see that because you both seem like just the most lovely women. What's it like kind of fighting with her in this show?
Suzie is very natural. Rashida is very natural. So I have to become a very strict Kyoto kind of person. And if I attack from that standpoint, it's very interesting. And so when I attack her as a Kyoto person, she attacks me being a very American person. So that was very exciting. So all the traditions, the Japanese traditions, I have to really put that forward, you know, because I'm always wearing a kimono. That's another thing. I like that.
And we like seeing you on the screen. And Jun, I'll take my next question to you.
Yeah.
This is such a very big moment for Asian representation in film. We've had in TV shows, Squid Game, Drive My Car, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Parasite, and now Sunny. It's going to be sure to join these great movies, TV shows. What's that like seeing all of these be very, very worldly recognized?
As
an Asian myself, it's really, I'm very happy about that. And we're in the same entertainment business. So this is really wonderful. So before, we used to get a lot of entertainment from the West. That was sort of the mainstream. And we hardly ever exported our things, our work, entertainment. And now more and more we are being able to do that. That's good.
And it's very exciting to see. I can't wait for people to see Sunny on Apple TV Plus starting July 10th. Thank you both so much.